Well, hello, students. Welcome to another episode here on Jay's Learning School, where I have the opportunity to help you to understand and speak better English. On today's lesson, I am going to teach you about American football. Now, of course, I'm not going to teach you everything about American football, but I am going to teach you about some very common terms that are used when it comes to the game of football. I'm excited about today's lesson, and I hope you are ready to learn. So make sure you're paying attention, because throughout today's lesson, I am going to be giving you a few quiz questions, okay? So you want to make sure that you're paying attention so you can answer the questions that I'm going to have throughout today's lesson, and you can just put your answers down in the comments section. Okay, are you ready? You ready to learn? Let's get into today's lesson. So football is a game played on a field that measures 100 yards. So the playing field is 100 yards. The entire field is usually about 360 yards, I believe. Now, there's a goal on each end of the field called the end zone, along with a goal post that's about 10 feet off the ground, and it's usually yellow. There are 11 players per team on the field, and the object of the game is to score points by advancing the football into the opposing team's end zone. And the ball can be advanced by carrying, throwing, or handing it from one teammate to another. And I will add that football is a very, very violent sport. Oh my goodness. But it can be fun to watch. It's amazing to see what these athletes can do when they play the football game. But it is quite violent. There are usually a number of injuries. People break bones, they injure muscles, they have had concussions, they have fainted, just so many different things. They play in extreme heat as well as extreme cold. They'll play in the mud, in the rain. So it's just crazy to see. And in this country, football is usually started as a child. Yeah, you'll have 8 and 9-year-olds playing the game of football. There's been a lot of controversy over it because of the violence. And so now there is a rise of flag football, where there is not as much physical contact as it is in tackle football. And we'll talk about what tackling is and so forth later in the lesson. But I'm excited about the vocabulary words we're going to learn today. So let's get into it. So when it comes to playing football, like all sports, there's game day, okay? Because of the physicality of football, it is usually played just once a week. There is no way that you can play more than once in full pads, helmet, and all of the contact that is required to play the game more than once a week. Now, they practice throughout the week, but a full game is just one time a week. At the pro level, it's usually on Sundays. In the NFL, college games, football games are usually played on either Thursday night or they play on Saturday. Okay. And it's usually an all-day thing. Each game usually lasts between 3 and 4 hours. It just depends. If it's a good flowing game, you may get in 2.5 hours, but they're pretty long, and it can be exciting if it's not a blowout. And a blowout is where one team just scores so many points and the other team scores little to no points. So game day is usually Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. At the high school level, game day is Friday night. Okay, in this country, game day for high school players is on Friday nights, and a lot of families make a big event out of it, and they'll go support their sons that play, or they'll just support the local high school, middle school, or junior high school that is playing the game of football on game day. Okay, now the pigskin. It's just another name for the football. Okay. Now, the football is not made out of literal pigskin, but way back in the day when football started, it was actually made out of the lining of a stomach of a pig, based upon my research. And so hence the nickname pigskin. But the football is usually either plastic or leather nowadays, and it is filled with compressed air. Okay, so the football is also called the pigskin. In basketball, sometimes they call the basketball the rock, but they also call it the rock sometimes in football. Pass the rock, man. Hand me the rock. Hand me the ball, or throw the pigskin. Okay. Now, a celebration when a team scores in American football, even in soccer or football and international play, which uses a soccer ball, American football is known for the celebrations, especially in the NFL. When a team scores, a big deal is made out of it. Sometimes they'll do a dance. Sometimes the players will gather around and they had a meeting about what they were going to do when they score. You'll see celebrations when an interception is made. So if the quarterback from one team throws the ball and the defensive team intercepts or catches the ball, then the defensive players will celebrate. What's popular now is that you see a lot of the players coming together and they celebrate together. So I really enjoy seeing the celebrations. It adds a lot of excitement to the game, and it can be fun. Now, sometimes the celebrations get out of hand. They do find certain players. If they do certain suggestive or sexual moves, if they use different objects now, they get fined thousands of dollars. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, you would see players pulling out popcorn or using pens, or they would get different things, but they quickly cut that out. Now, at the college level, they do not encourage players to celebrate. They want to try to keep the sportsmanship on an even playing field. So they try to stop the players from celebrating or showing up their teammates. So you don't see much celebrating in the college game, nor in the high school game. But when it comes to the professionals, oh man, celebrations are a big part of the game. Okay. Talking heads are the people that talk about the game extensively and exhaustively throughout the week. I'm so tired of them that they're not even journalists anymore for the most part. But they talk about the game. They talk about who they think's going to win, who they think's going to lose, who's going to have a good game. They have no idea, but they just talk all throughout the week, and they get on my nerves. They argue on who's the best, who's going to do this. And it's like they have the ability to predict what's going to happen, and they have no idea. But that's what they do. They're talking heads. They're talking heads, and I'm tired of them, and I don't watch them anymore. I would just rather watch the game and be done with it. But the people that analyze the game, they're supposed to be professionals, but it's gotten to the point now to where it's pretty much just male gossip. So I can't pretty much stand them. Tailgating is a part of American football that is quite popular. Okay, so prior to the game, hours before the game, so the game may be at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but 3 hours, 4 hours before the game, fans, family members, and others, they gather at the stadium in the parking lot, and they open up the backs of their car or trucks. They bring trailers, they cook out, they grill, okay, hot dogs, hamburgers, they make stew. They bring potato chips, they barbecue sausages, they make gumbo. I mean, they do so much at a tailgating. They drink. I mean, so it's basically like a party before the game. Okay. And so tailgating is really big. It's really something that is encouraged to do. That's what makes it an all-day event. It can be 15 degrees outside and they'll be tailgating it. It does not matter. It can be a beautiful 90-degree day and people are hot and sweaty. They'll be out there tailgating. So tailgating is done before the game, usually not after the game, but 3 to 4 hours before the game. People are outside cooking, sharing food, and just having a festive time or a great time before the game. And sadly, some people get drunk and then they go into the game and just, oh man, they make it a big party. Okay, so tailgating is really big in this country. I'm not sure about other countries, but let me know down in the comments section. Is tailgating something that is really pushed or accepted when it comes to playing sports? Okay. Now, a tackle in American football is when a defensive player stops the offensive player from advancing. Okay. They grab them and they bring them to the ground. Okay. And it can get violent. Okay. They call people that love to tackle headhunters in football because they try to seemingly hurt the person that they're tackling. Okay. So there are a lot of nicknames for a tackle. When someone gets tackled very hard, you'll hear someone say, "Ooh, he got popped." Okay. Or if he gets tackled real hard and he's laying on the ground, they say, "Ooh, man, he's laid out." Or they may say he got crushed. And usually when someone gets tackled pretty hard, you'll always see people cringe. They'll, "Ooh, oh, I know that hurt." Oh, and it's celebrated. A hard tackle is celebrated until someone gets hurt. Okay. Until someone gets hurt. Here recently, there was a player who tackled someone. People celebrated, and then he fainted on the field. His heart stopped. So it happens. It's as I said earlier, a very, 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 very violent sport. But tackling is a part of the game. It's been a part since the beginning. They try to wear pads and cushioned helmets, but I don't think it helps that much because you can hear people get tackled when you're watching it on TV. You just hear that pop, crack. Oh man, it's horrendous sometimes. And that's why they're doing flag football, to try to stop some of the violence in the game. Okay. A blitz. Now, a blitz is when multiple defensive players are rushing towards the quarterback to try to tackle him before he can pass or hand off the ball. That's pretty much what a blitz is. And so you'll just see an all-out attack from the defense running across the line of scrimmage to try to tackle the quarterback. That's what you would consider to be a blitz. Okay. It's like the defensive team is going berserk. They're blitzing, they're running to try to get that quarterback to keep him from advancing the ball. A blitz. A long bomb. A long bomb is when the quarterback throws the ball, 30, 40, 50 yards down the field. That's what you would call a long bomb. Man, he threw a long bomb and the receiver dropped it. Or he threw a long bomb, the receiver caught it and ran it to the end zone for a touchdown. Long bombs are very, very exciting. They can happen at any time in the game. It can be whether the game is close in score or it's a blowout. Long bombs are just a beautiful thing to see, especially when the football spirals along in the air and it's just a pretty pass and the receiver catches it, whether it be with one hand or two hands. It's just something beautiful to see. So that's what a long bomb is. It's when the quarterback throws the ball 30, 40, 50, 5 yards to an offensive player. All right, here's our first pop quiz question for today's lesson. When multiple defensive players run toward the quarterback, that is called a what? Okay, now were you listening? When multiple defensive players run toward the quarterback, what is that called? Okay, let's go on. A game plan. Now, you'll hear this term often in American football, a game plan. And the game plan is simply a strategy. Okay, and most teams will have an offensive game plan and a defensive game plan. Okay. Offensively, they may say, we're going to just run the ball. That's our game plan. We're going to run, or we're going to run the ball down their throats. Okay. But a defensive game plan or strategy may be, we're going to play man to man the entire game. So when a team plays man to man, each defensive player matches up with an offensive player and they stick to that player the entire time. So a game plan is the strategy that the team has in order to win. Okay. What is your game plan? And it's amazing how a lot of coaches relate football to life. And so they'll take the football game or game plan and they'll try to help the young men to be better men by saying, look, you also need to have a game plan in life. Look, players, when you get tackled on the field, what do? You get back up and you keep playing the game. And so some coaches that are great leaders, they'll say, well, in life, you get knocked down, but you should have a strategy, a game plan for life. You get right back up, even though something in life hindered you. You don't let that stop you. You get up and keep going. So a game plan has to do with your strategy. Okay. A gunslinger. Okay. A gunslinger is a quarterback that is known for throwing the ball around the field a lot. I mean, he's just known for throwing the ball downfield and doesn't care if the wide receiver or tight end or the player he's throwing the ball to is being defended by 2 or 3 players. He doesn't care. He's a gunslinger. He just throws the ball around the field, no matter how many interceptions he may have, no matter how many times a player drops the ball. This quarterback just is a gunslinger. He throws the ball constantly around the field. Okay? Another term that is familiar with American football is a Hail Mary. Okay. So a Hail Mary is basically just a throw up pass. It's where the quarterback throws the ball in hopes that the player he is throwing to catches the ball and scores. And usually a Hail Mary is at the end of the game when time is running out. There's probably 2, 3, 4 seconds left on the clock. And the quarterback just revs back and throws the ball towards the end zone as fast and high as he can and just hopes that his player catches the ball and scores, and then they win the game. Or they catch the ball, score, and go into overtime, which is an extra period of play. Okay. So Hail Marys often don't work, but they're fun to see because occasionally you'll see something exciting happen and it may work. And when you see it work, it's basically like a miracle play. And so Hail Marys are pretty fun. You should take time if you are into football and just look up on YouTube popular Hail Mary plays and see some of the exciting plays that happen in football where the quarterback just throws the ball up and the receiver catches the ball and they win. Okay. The Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl in American football is the most popular football game that is played during the season. It is the championship game, and it is broadcast around the world, and it is the most viewed event usually that year. I mean, it is a big deal game. Okay, so the Super Bowl actually, as I'm recording this video or streaming this video, is this weekend, this Sunday. It's usually played on the second Sunday of February, and it is a very, very popular game. Even in countries where American football is not played, they will broadcast the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl is between two teams. Of course, the champion of the NFC, which is a conference, and a champion from the AFC. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best team. It's just whoever won in the playoffs. And so the Super Bowl is just a festive event. People that don't even watch football usually watch the Super Bowl. I mean, because it's everywhere. And as I said a moment ago, it's the most watched event in the world, not just in America or North America. I mean, it is broadcast in multiple languages, and it's a big event. It's so popular that the commercials are popular. So this year they're paying or charging $7 million, I read, for a 30-second ad in the Super Bowl. And every slot has been sold out. So it's a great, I mean, it's a moneymaker, a big moneymaker. And people wager on the game. They bet on who's going to win. They bet on who's going to win the coin toss at the beginning. They bet on who's going to score the most points. They bet on just, couldn't imagine the things that people wager on in the Super Bowl. Okay. Another part of the Super Bowl that is really highlighted is the halftime event. And the halftime show is usually longer than a regular season game. And so they'll have a featured group, musical group or artist that will come and perform. And that performance will be broadcast around the world. And so I believe this year, Rihanna is the headline artist for the Super Bowl halftime show. And people look forward to the halftime show and people look forward to the commercials. Sometimes if it is not an exciting game, the commercials are usually talked about more than the game. So the Super Bowl usually starts around 6 o'clock and it lasts about 3.5, 4 hours. And it's again, a popular game. Will you be watching the Super Bowl? Okay, let me know down in the comments. Do you watch the Super Bowl? And in what country are you from where you watch the Super Bowl? Some people stream it and just watch it online, but some people have televisions at the house or on their job, and no matter where they are, they watch the Super Bowl. I have been traveling before, and it was being played on the radio. And it's always broadcast that way as well. So let me know down in the comments, do you watch the Super Bowl? Even if you're not a football fan, do you watch it? And what country do you watch it from? Okay. The zebras. Okay. Zebras are another name for the officials or the referees. Okay. And they're recognized by wearing striped shirts just like a zebra. Okay. They're black and white. And there are a team of zebras or refs that officiate the game. They make many controversial calls, and a lot of people complain about referees because it's questionable about how they see the game. So a lot has been said about NFL referees over the years, and I'm pretty sure a lot will be said about referees at the Super Bowl this weekend. But another name for the officials is zebras. And of course, officials referee the game, or they judge the game to make sure the game is played fairly. Now, here's our next pop quiz question for today. What is the nickname for a quarterback that likes to throw the football down the field? What is the nickname for a quarterback that likes to throw the football down the field? Make sure you leave your answer in the comment section. And before we go on to, I believe, the last section of today's lesson, I want to invite you to subscribe to my second channel. I'll leave the link down to that in the description. On my second channel, I have shorter English lessons that you can watch throughout the week. And so that is just another resource that you can take advantage of to help you to understand and speak better English. Okay, let's go on to the last section. A field goal. Now, earlier, I told you that field goal posts are at each end of the field, and this is what they look like. And teams have a kicker that will kick the ball through the field goal post to get points, okay? A field goal is usually worth 3 points, and an extra point field goal is worth 1 point. So in the professional league, in the NFL, the field goal posts are quite narrow. But in college, they bring it out a little bit more. And in high school, because of the skill level, they'll bring it out a little bit more. Now, in the NFL, the field goal posts are closer together because the skill level is supposed to be higher. Okay. All right. Field goal. Icing the kicker, or ice the kicker. This is so funny to me. So when the kicker is about to attempt a field goal, the opposing team tries to ice the kicker. Basically, it is when the opposing team wants to distract the kicker in hopes that they will miss the attempted field goal. So when I ice the kicker, most times, if I am on defense and you are trying to kick the field goal to get 3 points, to ice the kicker, I would call a timeout right before you kick the ball. Right before you can make an attempt at the field goal, I would call a timeout. And that's what you call icing the kicker. Yeah, icing the kicker. And it's just a strategy that's used to attempt to distract the kicker and hopefully cause them to get nervous or to make an error when it comes time to score. Ice the kicker. Okay. And it usually prolongs the game. You're like, come on, let him kick. If he's going to make it, he's going to make it. If he's going to miss it, he's going to miss it. But sometimes it works because you can, those nerves, the kicker, that's all they do. They don't tackle, they don't throw, they don't run. All they do is kick the ball. And so the game can be in their hands, and that can be nerve-wracking. I would not want to be a kicker. No. No. I would want, that's just too much pressure to win a game and that's all you do, because you're going to hear people, that's all you do is kick the ball and you can't kick the ball. And sadly, you've had people get threatened because they missed the kick. So it's crazy. It's crazy. People take sometimes these games too seriously, or they're too emotionally invested. But icing the kicker is a term that you will hear in football. Instant replay. Okay. This is supposed to help make the game better. Okay. But instant replay is basically a recording of a play that the referees watch in order to see if something happened or did not happen. So referees may watch or use instant replay to see if a person was actually in bounds, or if a person dropped the ball, or if they had possession of the ball, or if they caught the ball, or if they scored the ball, or they'll watch the film or a replay of the film of the previous play to see actually what happened. Okay. Again, it's supposed to make the game better, but sometimes I don't know what these refs are looking at, because we're sitting at home like, dude, didn't you see what we saw? And so it can get crazy. And this is why many people think the games are fixed. So a fixed game is where the league supposedly has already determined who is going to win. Okay. So many people believe that games at the professional level are already scripted. I personally believe that many of these games, if not all of them, are fixed. That's just me. That's just me. I believe it's too much money. It's too much money on the line. I believe in some kind of way these games are predetermined. That's just my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's just my opinion. It was just like last night, I went to a basketball game to support some kids. And I'm telling you, you could tell these refs already had in their mind who they wanted to win, because as soon as the game was called, they were blowing the whistle and calling fouls. And we're like, that wasn't a foul. And so it just messed with the mind of the opposing team, and it was over before it started. So a lot of people think that NFL games are already predetermined. They'll have what you call conspiracy theories. They'll have people on social media saying, see, I told you that this game was fixed. I told you. Okay. So a fixed game is where a game is scripted or predetermined, and usually they'll say the refs help determine who is going to win a game or lose a game. And sometimes it's been proven that some players were in on the fix. They were paid to underperform. So it can get crazy. I don't know. A juke or a juke move is when a player puts a good move on a player and they cause them to miss a tackle. They juke them. So you may hand me the ball and I run and I fake like I'm going this way and I go that way. That's a juke. So I juke or I spin and make you miss a tackle. That's called a juke move. Watch me do it again. That's a juke move. And so you'll hear people go, ooh, he got juked. Ooh. So a juke move. All right. All right. The red zone. From the 20-yard line to the back of the end zone is the red zone. That is a crucial part of the field where it becomes hopefully easier to score. So the red zone is from the 20-yard line to the back of the end zone. That's the red zone. Okay. We're winding it down. We're looking at terms in American football you should be familiar with. A pick six. If I throw the ball to my player and the defensive player intercepts it or catches the ball and then runs it all the way down the field and scores 6 points, that's called a pick six. somebody picked it off and then ran it back for a score. That is called a pick six. And those are exciting because the defender gets the ball and then he eludes all the other players and with speed usually makes it down to the other end of the field successfully to score for his team. So pick sixes are very, very exciting. Here's the last pop quiz question for today's lesson. I hope you've been learning and having fun with me. What is it called when the defensive team calls a timeout immediately before the kicker attempts a field goal? What is it called when the defensive team calls a timeout immediately before the kicker attempts a field goal? Oh, no, I got another section. 4 sections today. Mascot. So a mascot is a person who dresses up like something or somebody or an animal to represent their team. So if your team is the Rams, then the mascot would more than likely dress up like a ram. Okay. In Atlanta, we have the Atlanta Falcons. So our mascot is a falcon. Okay. For the football team. The University of Georgia, UGA, who just won another national championship in college football, they are the Bulldogs. So the mascot is a bulldog. The stadium is where the game is usually played. The stadiums can be an outdoor stadium or what's called an indoor stadium. Basically, the difference is one is covered and one is not covered. And stadiums are very expensive. They're in the billions of dollars here in this country. And it's sad because cities and states will say they don't have any money, but then they'll build a new stadium. So they be lying. But they are beautiful arenas. Some people call them sanctuaries because they idolize these teams, but they are magnificent pieces of architecture to see. They're very well advanced with technology, and stadiums are very popular. And basically, many people go to this to watch a game just to see the stadium. And the stadiums are usually just as popular as the team itself. They not only play games in the stadiums, they'll have concerts, sometimes conventions. They'll have different other events in the stadium as well, so they can generate revenue or make money. Run the clock. When you run the clock, it's when a team is trying to hold the ball in order to expire time quickly. Okay, so we're running the clock. If I'm up by 2 points, I want to try to run the clock so I can win. Okay, I want to run the clock out. I want time to expire. Run the clock. MVP. The MVP is the most valuable player. Okay, it's usually for that game whoever had an outstanding game. Now, sometimes they really don't give the award to the most valuable player. Sometimes it's given to the most popular player. Okay, it can become political, but the MVP is the person for that game on offense or defense who had, just a spectacular game. It could be the quarterback for how he managed and threw the ball. It could be the running back for the amount of yards that they ran. It could be a defensive player for making a great number of interceptions or tackles. So it could be a number of people on the team, but it stands for most valuable player. And in American football, at the pro level, if you win MVP for that game or for that season, especially if it's a Super Bowl, you'll get a bonus. You get a trophy and a check. All right. Sports bar. Sports bar is where people go to watch the game. They go into and they eat chicken wings, or they get a hamburger, or they get a steak and French fries, and a number of other type meals, and they watch the game with other fans. Okay, usually a sports bar, people will go and it will have 50 or more televisions. There'll be plenty of alcohol. People are having adult beverages and they're watching the game with their fellow fans of the team that they support. So a sports bar. Signed memorabilia. Signed memorabilia. Okay. It's when a player signs a football or a jersey and they give it to someone or they sell it. Now, Kobe Bryant didn't play football. He played basketball professionally. And I saw that his signed jersey was sold for $5 million. Wow. Now, at football games, people fight to have athletes or coaches sign their memorabilia, their objects that represent that game or represent a particular player. Like I said, a jersey, a ball, or a card, like a sporting card, or what are they called? I forget. A football card or a baseball card. They'll want them to sign it so it can be a part of their collection, or so they can monetize it and make money sometimes. Some people will get things signed and turn around the next day and sell it. That player may be playing football for the last time and they had something signed, they'll sell it and make a lot of money from it. So signed memorabilia. Now, this is our last pop quiz question for today. What is it called when a team holds the ball as long as possible to expire playing time? What is it called when a team holds the ball as long as possible to expire playing time? What is that called? Leave your answers down in the description or the comment section. Okay. 4 pop quiz questions today. I hope you're paying attention. Well, I think this was my longest live stream. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. Or if you went back and rewatched this, I want to say thank you so much for coming and watching today's lesson. Or if you're listening to it on the podcast and you made it to the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support of the lessons. If you have learned something, give me a like. Oh my gosh, I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. And if it's helping you, a like would really be beneficial. Also, sharing with a friend that may benefit, please do so. That would help the channel out as well. And again, I want to invite you to join my second channel where my videos are much shorter and quicker. That link will be down in the description of this lesson. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you join me on another episode, and be sure to check out some of my other videos that are here on the channel. Have a wonderful day. And if you're going to watch the Super Bowl, enjoy it. See you next time.